Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about psychology and true crime. We are currently waiting on the verdict in Lori Vallow's case. We do not know if we will get a verdict today. The jury might decide to watch Lori's entire police interview, which she asked them to do. They might also decide to take a look at the love letter, that letter between Chad and Lori. The state entered it, but they did not go over it or read anything. They just entered it as like, "Hey, jury, if y'all want to take a look at this, you can take a look at it." I just wanted to thank Lawyer Lee. Did a really great breakdown of Lori's closing from a lawyer's perspective, and so if you didn't check that out, I'd encourage you to head over to her channel to check that out. And then y'all can let me know in the chat. I have the verdict watch up, but do I have it up? Because we're sharing this tab. Yes. Okay, good. I have the verdict watch going. Let me mute this and then click live. So this will keep going. Just fixing technology in the background. Welcome, welcome. If y'all have questions along the way, please let me know. We are all waiting. Um, yeah, the James and Elena letter. Yes. Okay, so they did read this. Wow. And then they took their lunch break. Wow, wow, wow. And I don't know if we're gonna get the verdict live. So if you're following this on Twitter or X or anywhere else too, because people live in the courtroom, they might I don't know if court TV and the court feed, because the court feed has been on an hour delay. So I don't know if there might be some news of the verdict before we actually see the verdict streamed. But I did want to take a look at Lori's closing argument. She said in her interview, that second interview that she did, that there were things she wanted to say that a lawyer would not say. But she attempted to push the boundaries, which we knew that she would. Okay, so the verdict is on a 5-minute delay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you in the chat. So Lori tried to get certain things in without her having to testify. I love live streaming. I love getting to watch and talk about these things with you all. When I record by myself, it's so sad. And so I rarely record just like without at least members only or somebody. I really like chatting with you all and engaging with you all. This is a phenomenal community. Let's go on ahead and head in and watch Lori's closing argument. It was short. So the state gave, I think somebody said it was about an hour and 15 minutes or so, or the state, it was longer. And we are going to watch the state's rebuttal as well, as long as the verdict doesn't come in. Once the verdict comes in, we're going to go live over to the verdict. Okay. All right, so I was gonna try to change the view. Let's do this one. All right, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the state of Arizona has the 100% burden of proving that I committed a crime, a grievous crime, conspiracy to commit premeditated murder of my husband, Charles Vallow.
My husband.
The state has
So every time she said my husband, because she is technically Chad's wife, technically. But I guess because she's saying her husband died in this horrible tragedy, she's still possessing him. But to me, that's just a very, I don't know, but she keeps talking about him this way. And this could backfire with her with the jury because she really showed no emotion. Like she didn't seem sad that Charles was dead. Like she just seemed like she was just going on about her day and answering all of their questions, but she didn't seem distraught at all. Now, different people can respond and react differently in different situations. Sometimes people can go into autopilot and they're kind of dissociated or disconnected from the event. And so sometimes people can appear like they're okay, but on the inside, they're really not. But the I remember, I think it was a detective that said that Lori was just chatting and just chatty, and that was really it. And she hated them describing her as nonchalant. And she asked the one lady to yes, Afton, you got to it right when I said it. Like, she was so upset with being called nonchalant, when really, when we looked up the meaning of the word, she was just kind of calm and like it was any old kinda day. And so, Emily D. Baker is covering the Karen Reed trial. I do not plan, so I covered some issues that came up in the first trial. I don't plan, I might cover the verdict, but I don't plan to cover much from her trial. If there was a psychologist or somebody giving some type of mental health testimony, I would, but, I don't plan to cover the second trial. I will be, watching, updates from Emily D. Baker and other lawyers on Law Too, but I just can't do it again. So she's pretty much, she's gonna attempt to say that it's on the state to prove that she's guilty.
The burden of proving
They
to you that this event was not self-defense. In your jury instruction under the instruction, use of force and crime prevention, the last line reads, if the state fails to carry this burden, then you must find the defendant not guilty. In the law, under your jury instruction titled Justification for Defense of a Third Party, the last line reads, if the state fails to carry this burden, you must find the defendant not guilty. Under your jury instruction titled Justification for Self-Defense, the last line reads, if the state fails to carry this burden, you must find the defendant not guilty. In your jury instruction under presumption of innocence, it states, the law does not require the defendant to prove innocence. Every defendant is presumed by law to be innocent.
until all the
Under the burden of proof, it explains that the state's burden is this. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt is proof that leaves you firmly convinced of the defendant's guilt. If, on the other hand, you think there's a real possibility that he is not guilty, you must give him the benefit of the doubt
Mm.
and find him not guilty. In Arizona, self-defense is defined as not being a crime.
And she brought up self-defense, and I think the state does a really good job explaining that the whole incident that she describes starts with Lori initiating it. She had Charles's phone, and she was refusing to give it back, that Lori instigated this. And the state really, I think they question, did Charles really ever have the bat? Lori is gonna point out the issues, some of her issues with the investigation, but none of her issue, I don't know that any of her issues would have really helped her case in the long run. And a lawyer might have done a better job driving some points home, but she's going to say some things that most lawyers would never say because they would get into big trouble with the judge, because she was clearly trying to get testimony and information that wasn't in evidence in front of the jury, and the state appropriately objected. And we knew that the state was going to have to be on guard to object during this closing, because Lori was going to try to do this, especially since she presented no defense. So Lori, the state rested, and then Lori rested. She presented no evidence. Even after that opening statement where she said the evidence will show, the evidence will show, the evidence will show. And she's basically just going off, I guess, whatever testimony she elicited from the state's witnesses. I didn't think she did a great job cross-examining the state's witnesses, but in her mind, she's thinking that this is going well for her, I guess. We'll keep it going.
So let's look at what we've learned in this trial.
from her perspective.
We learned that a shooting occurred and that 911 was called,
Late,
that law enforcement was notified.
late.
We learned that fire, EMS, and Chandler police arrived at the scene. We learned that my brother, Alex Cox, came out of the house with his hands up as directed by 911 and was questioned by the police in the driveway. We learned that I came up with my daughter Tylee, and we were told to wait by the car until police would speak with us.
I hate when she mentions Tyler. I hate it.
We learned from Detective Inklin on the stand that we asked for Tylee's medication from the house for her panic attacks, but it was not given to her.
She probably didn't need.
We learned that eventually my brother Alex was taken in a police car to the Chandler Police Department uncuffed. We learned in this trial that my daughter Tylee and I were also taken to Chandler Police Department in a police van. We heard from Detective Inklin's testimony that her goal was to make small talk with us. And
The jury will determine what the testimony did or did not show. Go ahead.
That was the first objection.
that her goal was to make the small talk with us and all the way to the station so she could speak with us separately before we would talk about what actually happened. We learned that all three of us were separated and taken to 3 interview rooms where we each told police of the events of the day, each from our own perspectives, and answered all questions asked of us. We saw snippets of that interview in the
But the jury is only going to see Lori's interview, and lawyer Lee went over the fact that the state could have, if Alex's interview would have helped the state, like that the state could have fought to try to get Alex's interview in if they wanted to, but really it wasn't going to be helpful. And then because he was a co-conspirator. That's what I learned today from lawyer Lee. So I love watching the lawyers break this stuff down. Lori's doing a good job. She's sticking to her script. So I think she went over her closing art, like she wrote out her closing argument. She might have consulted with her the attorneys that are advising her. She is acting as her own lawyer. And her lawyers might have told her, hey, the state's probably going to object here. Um but Lori said all of these things. She did.
trial here. The state did not show you the entire interview. Most of my police interview is admitted, though, into evidence
Why she said it that way.
in this exhibit. It's number 286. And I would encourage you to watch that entire interview when you start your deliberations. It is important. It is important for you to determine for yourselves my demeanor and not listen to anyone else. You can see it with your own eyes and hear it with your own ears. We heard from several witnesses that because this event was almost 6 years ago, that their memories of the events and statements were probably better back then. Well, my police interview happened that very morning, and I told the police the events from my perspective at that time. It is admitted into evidence and will answer many of your questions.
I don't think it
You
will.
did not see Tylee's interview, but we did learn from Detective Inklin that she did an interview that morning as well. You did not see Alex's interview, but we learned that Alex was interviewed that morning by Detective Moffett, the original case agent, whom we did not hear from in this trial. The state chose not to show you those interviews or let you listen to the 911 call.
And she still said that.
The jury shall disregard.
So she, even after the objection, she continued to talk. So she got in that the state did not show those 2 interviews and that they did not play the 911 call. And to me, she knew she wasn't supposed to say that. I honestly think she knew. She knew she was not supposed to say that. And once you say something, it's hard to unhear what you've already heard, but the jury, they're not supposed to consider things that have been objected to. But she's trying to plant some seeds of like they're trying to keep something from you. and they're just there's this conspiracy against me. They initially thought it was self-defense, and then they changed their mind later. I think it was very intentional, especially that Sly, she kept going to get in that other part of the statement that she wanted to get in. And I see that as calculating, and I don't like the word manipulative, because I work with individuals with borderline personality disorder, and the way that we frame it is that a person attempts to get needs met the wrong way. So Lori's trying to get her story out there, but she's doing it the wrong way. The way she's doing it crosses a boundary. Yeah, but she's doing it anyway.
Regard that last statement. Okay, the jury can only consider what was admitted into evidence.
We learned in this trial from Officer Kautheim's testimony that Alex was injured on the back of his head with a bump and, according to his testimony, a 1-inch laceration. We did not see those pictures documenting that injury as well. We learned in this trial that we did not know, the three of us, that our interviews were being recorded.
And that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
We learned that Alex's phone was taken by police and put into an evidence bag, according to Detective Duncan, and that no digital copy of Alex's phone was taken by the Chandler police.
So there are times when she almost turns into a state witness, because if they had taken a look at Alex's phone sooner, maybe they wouldn't have ruled it self-defense. Maybe they would have considered him a suspect and gathered evidence to, and so it's like some of the things that she's questioning, and they didn't do this was a bad investigation. She's trying to plant the seed that there's information to support her claim that didn't come in, when honestly, I think there is they likely would have arrested Alex sooner if they had done a more thorough investigation. If they had been a little bit more, if they had looked at Lori's phone, if they had investigated, was there some type of affair, or what was going on with this case? I think they would have been arrested sooner. But the jury isn't going, I don't know what the jury is going to think about that part. So her pointing this out might not be all that helpful, but
Police department, even though this is their normal protocol. We learned that Alex's phone was returned to him that same day with no further inquiries.
same.
We learned that after my interview and Tylee's interview, that we were introduced to a victim's advocate, and that gave us further instructions in another room where Tylee and I were reunited. We learned that soon after that, all three of us, Alex, Tylee, and myself, were taken in another van and dropped off back at our house. We learned that we were instructed at that time that we could not enter the house yet, that we were directed by law enforcement to take the rental car, since all three of our cars were inside the police tape. We were directed to return later in the afternoon when the scene was cleaned up.
I missed that the first time. I think she said police state, but I think she meant police station. And it's okay. I missay words all the time, but I caught that the second time because I was actually listening.
We learned in this trial that we did as directed and left the house in the rental car close to 12 p.m. We learned that we did not return to the house until contacted by Detective Inkland to return to the house so that Alex could walk the detectives through what they call a walkthrough. We learned that many detectives were present during that walkthrough with Alex. We learned that Detective Duncan was there, Detective Coons was there, Detective Moffett was there, Detective Werther was there, and an officer with a body cam was there. And yet, we were told by Detective Duncan, the case agent on this case on the stand, that because of some problem, the walkthrough is not recorded. Detective Duncan also informed us that he does not know if any of the people present wrote a report about it.
All right. So this is a great question from Afton. Dr. B, what did you think about how she kept trying to get the full interview admitted? I think that was about control. I don't know that there's anything on there that helps her. Of course, the state is going to present the information that's most favorable to them, and she could have entered parts of the interview as part of her, her witnesses, but she's instead just asking the jury to take a look at the whole thing. And they did admit the entire interview, and the jury likely probably watched it. I'm guessing that they did, but I think that was more about control. Um, hey Millie, been following since the kids were missing. Recently found me. Welcome to the channel. Uh, all right, all right. Let's keep it going. This is I interrupt her because it's painful, but yeah, we're just gonna watch.
We can infer from Detective Duncan's testimony and the fact that we don't have an evidence, any body cam footage of the walkthrough and no reports talking about it, that there are none, even though this would be crucial evidence for you, the jury, to have.
Sustained, the jury should disregard that comment. Again, the jury can only consider evidence that was admitted into testimony. I'm sorry, testimony that was admitted into evidence or exhibits that were admitted into evidence.
So, there's a great question about why the jury is taking so long. So the jury, they deliberated for 1 hour yesterday, and we have to remember Arizona. So I'm Eastern Standard Time. Arizona is 3 hours behind me. So it is 3 o'clock. No, 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock, 2:21 in Arizona right now. The jury, they had lunch. So they probably came in, was it like 10 a.m. the jury came in, and this is the first time the jury is sitting down and talking through everything. And so the jury, they might take a few days. I don't know. So we will see. Do you think the jurors are wondering where Tylee, Chad, and Tammy are? Because they don't have an answer to that. They might be, but they're not allowed to research it. So they can only go off the information presented. They probably are assuming, oh, Chad. See, Tylee, Chad, and Tammy. Yeah. They're probably assuming that Tylee is deceased. They might think that Tammy and Chad divorced, but we know the truth there. um, and the jury can only consider what's legally allowed in. I don't have a problem with, and remember, I'm not a lawyer, I just like watching this stuff. Um, I The defendant has certain rights, and because the other crimes occurred after this crime, the state wasn't allowed to say, like, wasn't able to enter that other evidence. And I don't even think they tried to enter any of that stuff down the road, because that really could create an appellate issue. There's probably laws, and that's where you have to ask a lawyer. Like, what are some of the reasons why, some of that information was kept out? But yeah. All right. Yeah, so they took an hour and a half lunch. And so I think the jury is just taking their time, and they have a lot to go through. And as they're voting, there might be some people, because they might first say, "Okay, do we think it was self-defense? Do we think there was a conspiracy?" We don't know what process they're using to go through all of this. All right?
The state of Arizona has the obligation to show you evidence to prove that this event was not self-defense, as stated by the only 3 witnesses. So why not show the jury all the evidence that they gathered?
There weren't 3 witnesses.
Again, sustained. The jury can only consider the evidence
Lori didn't.
and testimony that was admitted into evidence.
We learned in this trial that Alex fully cooperated with law enforcement. We learned that my daughter Tylee fully cooperated with law enforcement. We learned that I fully cooperated with law enforcement. We learned that law enforcement treated all of us that day kindly and courteously on July 11th, 2019.
They're professionals.
That law enforcement treated us that day like this was self-defense. We were not given instructions to stay in town. We were not given instructions that we were under investigation of any kind. On July 11th, 2019, we were interviewed by Chandler Police and released with no further instructions. We learned that Chandler Police put out a press release that day on July 11th.
Objection.
I'll sustain that objection to the extent the jury is to determine what the facts did or did not establish.
So Colby Ryan is Lori's surviving, I think only, surviving child. And he has a channel, and he talked about he released a video, I think last night, talking about the closing arguments. I haven't been able to watch it yet. And then he'll probably do a video once the verdict is in. Lori has already been sentenced to 3 life sentences in Idaho. She's already been sentenced to that. So even let's say, so I feel more comfortable with this since she was found guilty of the other things. We will see what the jury decides here. We'll see. Let's keep it going.
Under Arizona law, I had the right to self-defense. Tylee had the right to self-defense. Alex had the right to self-defense.
And somebody I think asked why Colby might have been upset by by her closing argument. And so Lori once again is trying to spew this narrative because so her closing was decent. Okay. I think her closing was probably better than her opening. And I don't want to scare y'all because there is a small chance that a jury could find her not guilty or be hung. There is a chance. And so that might have been, I think Colby, he loved Charles like that. I think he considered him a father figure. And yeah. And then Lori would get away with it. And so I think that might be part of the reason why. I didn't watch his video, so make sure to check that out. I did listen to that painful phone interview that Colby did with his mom, with Lori, and he has decided to cut her off completely. He's talked about being in court, that there were times where their eyes kind of caught each other, and she just kind of gave this look to him. Um, and so we'll see. We'll see where this goes. Okay.
This event was not planned or expected. It was shocking. We learned in this trial that Chandler Police Department neglected to do a thorough investigation. We learned that they did not swab Alex's hands for gunpowder residue. We learned that they did not swab my hands for gunpowder residue. We learned that they did not swab Tylee's hands for gunpowder residue.
And that's once again, like, is she trying to say, what is she trying to say? And then somebody mentioned that my husband. I also don't like when she says my daughter, Tylee, too. Those are I don't like it when she talks of she can say my brother Alex. I don't okay. Even her brother Adam, but when she starts using possessive language with Charles and Tylee, it does irritate me. All right. Let's keep it going.
We learned that they did not luminol the gun. We learned that they did not luminol the bat. They did not test the DNA on the bat that they collected. They did not test the floorboard. They did not test the projectile. They did not test my husband's shirt. They did not search the rental car. They did not search any of our 3 cars that were there at the scene. They did not test the gun until over 5 years later.
He explained why. He explained that.
The Chandler Police Department did treat this event just like it was self-defense and a tragic family event. We learned in this trial that Charles and I were obviously having marital problems. regardless of what was happening in our marriage at the time, on July 11th, this was self-defense. When Tylee came out with the bat to protect me, her mother,
And so I don't like the way that she talks about, because I don't know if that's true. I do not know if Tylee truly came out with the bat, or did they already have the scene staged that way. I don't think that Tylee and Charles wrestled. Like I don't think it happened the way that that they're describing it. I just don't. Um, she makes it sound like it was just her and Charles talking, and then that things escalated when she refused to give Charles back his phone. I don't believe this. But this is the narrative that she wants the jury to believe. The same way with Tylee and JJ, she tries to make it sound like Tylee harmed JJ when we know Tylee died first. There's no way Tylee could have harmed JJ. And so like it's tough. And Allison, because I know and I can't unknow what I know, um, just going off what was presented, um, it's hard for me to take a step back and not know the other crimes that happened after, because I still think, and I've said it multiple times, I don't think they would have ever reopened this case if Tylee and JJ hadn't went missing and were found deceased, and if they hadn't reopened Tammy. Um, because they might have gotten away with Tammy dying if there hadn't been the missing children. I think the missing children, and then once they realized how depraved this situation was, they took a deeper look into all the deaths surrounding them. And it's hard. It's really hard. We're gonna keep it going.
Charles did not have to take the bat from Tylee and start swinging. At 62 years old,
So
Charles
because of Charles's so the reason why I question if Charles ever swung the bat is because he was a former baseball player, and they need him to seem aggressive to justify their self-defense. Like that's what they need. Um so I struggle with if Charles ever had the bat, or was this situation orchestrated in a way, cuz it almost sounds like Lori was there when he was shot, and then she went into the car and they drove off to, I think it was Wendy's. They went and got food, got flip-flops, and dropped JJ off at school. I also think they were trying to get JJ. I think they didn't want JJ to be interviewed, so JJ stayed out of being interviewed throughout this whole process. I think that's why she dropped JJ off at school. I think she wanted Tylee to provide the narrative that worked best for her. Um, in my opinion, I think Lori uses people. And unfortunately, I think she used Alex. She used Tylee. She used, like, Chad and her used each other. Ugh. And we'll keep it going.
had a choice that day and could have put the bat down.
She had a choice. You could have given his phone
A
back.
2-minute period changed our lives forever. How are you supposed to choose between 3 people you love? Your husband, your daughter, your brother?
Burger King.
All right, hold on. All right, I'll caution the defendant not to testify about things that were not entered into evidence.
She knows what she's doing.
How can you decide for another person if they feel threatened? Why does the state want to blame to someone?
It's a reasonable person standard, not the standard of the person.
I'm sure you'll point that out in rebuttal. I'll allow the argument as that inference. Go ahead.
Ah.
Why does the state want to blame someone for this tragic event?
And so Lawyer Lee pointed this out, because the way she said it is how to choose between my husband, brother, and daughter. And lawyer Lee pointed out, like, was that almost so if the jury was really listening, because really Alex was the one that made the decision to use lethal force. So really it should have been like if she was going to say it this way, it would have been Alex at the center. But Lori can't help but put herself at the center of everything. And so she's saying she had to make the choice between her husband, brother, and daughter. But ma'am, y- you unless you're saying you used the pew pew, you weren't the one that made that choice. It was Alex. And so lawyer Lee pointed that out. Oh, good gosh.
What evidence did the state show you in this trial that I wanted harm to come to my
Was
husband? We learned in this trial that I was praying for my husband. We learned in this trial that even though my husband and I were having marital issues, that we were both trying to do the best things for our son with special needs, JJ.
I hate it when she brings that up too.
We learned in this trial that I was shocked that Charles had changed his life insurance policy, but I was not angry as the state alleges.
She was probably angry.
In the phone call we heard from the insurance company, we heard that I was disappointed for our children, our grown children, as well as our children still at home.
So
But I was not angry. My husband Charles was providing for our children still at home. I had no motive to change that. We heard a lot in this trial about the Book of Mormon prophet named Nephi. This is the state's evidence to murder over self-defense, and it is utterly ridiculous.
how convenient, Lori, because now, because I watch Hidden True Crime as well, and the wife on that channel, I believe she's a practicing Mormon, and she's talked about the fact that Nephi, that story is often used to talk about like justified killings. And so that a lot of Mormon so if there is somebody that is Mormon on the jury, I wonder what they will think of her saying that this is utterly ridiculous. I don't know the faith backgrounds of the individuals on the jury, but if there is anybody that is LDS or has a history with it, I just wonder if they'll know that.
We heard from Detective Duncan, who admitted on the stand that he had no idea what I meant in the text message when I said, "We will be like Nephi." In Mormon culture, Nephi signifies strong faith, perseverance, and courage.
She's testifying.
Right.
She's testifying.
Sustained.
The state's attempt to misconstrue the positive text message about a wonderful religious figure, Nephi, and try to turn it into an order to kill someone is
Lori, you attempting to change your meaning into this. Okay. But she's trying to flip it. And so this is a little bit of Darvo, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. She's trying to say, poor me, we have this horrible, tragic situation. But she's defending herself. And so she's doing a decent job.
absurd. This is an attempt by the state to try to retrofit a crime that doesn't exist. This event was not a crime. It was a tragedy. Don't let them turn my family tragedy into a crime. When I'm done speaking to you, the state gets to get up and rebut all that I've told you. They've got to have the last word, so to speak, because it is 100%
mad.
their burden to prove to you that I committed a crime.
She did. My opinion.
And you won't be allowed to hear from me again.
Poor
So I want you to remember that it is the state's job to prove to you that I committed a crime. And if you have not seen the evidence that leaves you firmly convinced that I have committed this very crime, then the state failed to show you the evidence that you need. Because I did not commit this
Amen.
crime.
I need to go back.
Petition's job to prove. And you won't be allowed to hear from me again. So I want you to remember that it is the state's job to prove to you that I committed a crime. And if you have not seen the evidence that leaves you firmly convinced that I have committed this very crime, then the state failed to show you the evidence that you need. Because I did not commit this crime. The only interview the state entered into evidence is mine. So I encourage you to go watch it. I told you just what happened that day, just the way it happened. The state put forth a bunch of evidence in this trial in an effort to make you dislike me, to try to attack my character.
No, she didn't. So the reason why we talk about these things is like she's again making it all about now she is the one that's on trial, and she did some things that are not likable because I think even her cross-examination of the witnesses and everything, I thought she was condescending at times. She was passive aggressive, her little her sucking her teeth, and I don't know if the jury could hear all the things that she was muttering under her breath and everything. Um, this is something else that people often point out, the selling versus telling. She is definitely trying to sell this story, in my opinion. Like, she is trying so hard, but she's fighting for her life, and so you can kinda, yeah, I can understand it, but, um so Lori was not able she attempted to collect hit Charles's $1 million policy, but he had changed the beneficiary to his sister, because of some of her odd behavior. And so, which was a smart move on his behalf. I also saw that the Corey Richins trial, thank you to Emily D. Baker for that update. I saw that the Corey Richins trial has been postponed until they handle some appellate stuff, because that's another one that I'm watching, because I'll definitely cover portions of, Corey Richins' trial.
So that you would just say guilty no matter what evidence they showed you.
Oh,
But only you get to decide.
sure.
The state put up witnesses that had zero knowledge of a conspiracy. The state did not show you evidence of an agreement to commit murder. They showed you evidence of a family tragedy, and then they showed you the sad effects of a family torn apart because of that tragedy.
All right, so this is a great question, and we are going to watch the state's rebuttal. What advice would you give a jury that acquits someone only to find out the stuff that Lori has done in the Idaho case? So this is only if. Let's say if for some reason the jury does not believe that the state proved their case. There's also a second trial that Arizona has. Brandon Boudreaux, Lori's, I think it's her nephew and former, because him and Melanie divorced, but there's the attempted on Brandon. And so there is another case that will come. The state will kind of learn what things they could do different. They would probably poll the jury, see what questions the jury has. It might be hard for the jury because they didn't get to hear from Alex. They're not getting to hear from Tylee, who they're saying like Tylee plays, according to Lori's story, Tylee plays a very important part of this. And so juries can only go off the information they have. I also covered there was a case of a grandmother that accidentally left her grandchild in the car, and it was the second grandchild that had died in her care. And in that case, the death of the first grandchild was kept out, And so, but there are laws. There are reasons why some information gets to come in and some information doesn't. And so, really, for the jury, it's just you use the information that you have, and it's those 12 people that get to decide, and they make the best decision they can. Um, I wonder how the jurors in the Karen Reed case felt because they had found her not guilty of one, but they couldn't decide on one of the charges, and the whole case ended up getting thrown out because but like they had come to a decision, but the judge never polled them on if they had come to a decision on any of the charges. And so like that whole thing was a huge mess, and that's part of the reason why I can't go back and watch it all again. Marissa Monroe, I have heard allegations that something like that could have happened in Lori's past. I do like it would make sense for her personalities type and style, for something like that to have happened, and we are responsible for our healing. So while we don't get to decide what happens, we are responsible for how we heal. And so I don't think she had to become this. These were choices. This was a series of choices and a series of people enabling her behavior. In my personal opinion, besides Adam, I think there were other family members that enabled Lori's bad behavior. And they might have felt bad for her. They might have always believed her, but Lori has a pattern in history of lying, just lying and attacking people, getting revenge on people, not always leading in death, but sometimes just trying to get somebody else in trouble. And I just think that's a lot. All right. So now we're going to listen to the state's rebuttal.
And so I have the right to open and close the argument. Do you want to give a rebuttal close? Go ahead.
The execution of Charles Vallow is not a family tragedy. There is nothing that you can say about shooting a man as he lay on the ground that you can try to construe in any way to make that a family tragedy. This case is about the defendant, not Alex Cox. Alex is involved in it because that is her co-conspirator.
So sorry. So did I say Alex? So what I did mean, so Adam is the only family member that tried to hold Lori accountable. So that's the way I meant it. Adam tried to hold Lori accountable. I think other family members, and my personal thoughts, I don't know them personally. Just things that I've heard, it sounds like she was enabled by other family members. I hope that was clear. All right, we'll keep it going.
We are not here to determine his guilt, albeit it is quite obvious. This defendant wants you to just look at one piece, and she wants you to hope that there's only a person who will say, I heard the conspiracy. But what did you hear in every instruction is that you can look to other evidence to show that. This defendant wants you to forget about her words and pretend that when she told her lover, her soon-to-be husband, we got rid of him, that he changed the life insurance before we got rid of him, that somehow means what? That they killed him. And he changed his life insurance before they killed him. What does that tell you? That tells you motive, and that tells you who did it. This defendant is one of those we because she's writing it. She wants you to pretend that when she is talking about Charles for months, acquiescing and agreeing to her brother killing him, having people tell her that it's wrong, having people know that they're planning for something, that those words don't mean exactly what they are. We got rid of him, this defendant. The state, of course, has the burden, and that's how it should be. But every one of those justification defenses falls short when you look at the conspiracy itself. When they got rid of him, they did it by planning it. There is no reason that Alex Cox came over to this defendant's house with a loaded gun and waited for Charles to come inside, held there by this defendant using the cell phone. That is conspiracy. That is planning. That is premeditated. You can absolutely watch that whole video. That's why the state included that for you. What you're going to see is that Lori Vallow doesn't cry. She is not truthful, as we've gone through. Her timeline is absolutely wrong. She tells the detectives it's quick, it's 12 minutes. She wants you to believe that the police could understand all of this that day. But what did you hear? Is that all the police could tell initially was that the timeline was off. And then they started learning that the physical evidence seemed to be showing that Charles was executed on the floor, but they needed to see if the medical examiner agreed with them 2 days later. And then they needed to pull all those iCloud accounts, phone records, and go through terabytes of data to bring forth these things that you have now learned and hold. They interviewed these people who learned of the defendant's religious beliefs, that she was exalted, that she was celestial being, that she didn't have to repent. Of course she thought she was Nephi. We learned that the physical evidence on Charles and at the scene show us that he was executed. And every single one of those defenses that the defendant has asked you to look at, the state has met its burden. Because even if you somehow believe that Charles actually had that bat and it wasn't staged like the rest of the scene with the shoes and the lack of blood there, that second shot is not justified for self-defense, crime prevention, or third-party defense. Arizona law does not allow you to execute a man on the ground. Second shot. The defendant wants you to believe she was shocked and surprised by this, and yet she goes wandering around, goes to Burger King, Walgreens, drops off her kid, comes back and jokes about her neighbors. Not one action of a person shocked, surprised. She wants you to feel bad for her daughter, Tylee. You saw her there. You heard from the detectives. She's also not shocked, crying, upset, worried. And you saw Alex. Same demeanor. Why? They've had 47 minutes to work it all out. Go through Charles's phone, figure out what they're going to say. They've talked on the phone twice in this time period. This case relies upon all of the investigation that the police did. That day, when they knew that timeline was wrong, that day when they started to understand that the physical evidence at the scene was staged and wrong and didn't match what the defendant was saying. And then all of the evidence after that, culminating when this defendant told the man that she married later that she was having an affair with, as many times as she wants to say, Charles was my husband. She didn't want him as her husband.
She didn't. The state was good to point that out. There was a great question. How could her daughter be so brainwashed by Lori that she's not upset that her stepfather was unalived? So I think Lori poisoned Tylee against Charles. I think Lori also kind of poisoned because Lori made allegations against Tylee's birth father. So I don't think Lori liked Tylee having good relationships with with like with a father figure or with whoever Lori was dating. Because Lori, I think she got jealous of Tylee. I think she could have been jealous of the love Charles had for like appropriate daughter, like but I don't think Lori perceives things in a healthy way. I think she has a twisted lens that she views herself and the world through, where she twists herself to be awesome, angelic, and amazing. And then she twists everybody else to be that's against her. Anybody that doesn't agree with her then becomes evil. And so I am going to switch over. I have the oh, okay. So they already have the court being shown. And so as soon because I have the audio on. So as soon as we hear audio in the court for the live verdict, I will switch over to that. People are saying the jury deliberated for a little over 3 hours. Um, and Colby does a great job talking about how manipulative he didn't realize it until later. And that's what coercive control or that's what narcissistic abuse that's how that can happen where you think you're the problem. So Tylee might have felt bad about herself. She might have believed the lies Lori said. And there have also been allegations that Lori might have been like messing with Tylee's medication and with her health and possible Munchausen type behavior. And so, yeah. Another question: how do you find someone willing to go along with you um, yeah. So, Barbara, you have a healthy circle. I don't have anybody in my circle that would do crimes with me. That's just not the circle I keep. Alex had a traumatic brain injury, and I do not blame his behavior on like I don't think that justifies what happened. It just kind of helps me because it sounds like some things changed for him after that traumatic brain injury and I wish that he had gotten help because it sounds like he was a little impulsive. He had trouble managing his behavior, especially related to sexual impulses based on things I've seen in the chat. And I think he was desperately wanting salvation. And Lori was trying to offer that by because he had been kicked out of the church. And so that's those are just some of my thoughts on it. Yes, I am live until 7 p.m. So right now it's almost 6 p.m. Eastern. So I am staying live until the verdict is in. Okay? Yes. Yay, we'll get to watch it together. We'll get to prepare ourselves. I think there might be a penalty phase. Like if she is found guilty, I think there's like an additional phase it might go to. I will have to like if they're gonna send it back to the jury, I'll answer any questions and then I will have to feed my kiddo. So yes, I'm staying live for the verdict. Okay. Yes. Um Yes, he was kicked out twice. Yeah, Alex was kicked out of, the LDS church twice, and so Lori gave him access to spirituality, but he had to be her like, her hitman, and it might have started small, like, I wonder what little things and ways she started to manipulate and control him, and then she started the whole zombie thing. I don't know that he loves Zelima. Like the woman he ended up marrying, I think Lori just wanted them to get married. And so like because I don't know that Alex and Zulema were in love. And so yeah. Um is there so I don't think death penalty is an option for this. Normally when it's a death penalty case, they There are a lot of requirements. There's a lot of things that you hear. Normally they poll the jury to make sure the jury if there was evidence that it is an option, because somebody that is completely opposed to the death penalty, no matter what happens, they would never um uh make that recommendation. They're normally not allowed. They're normally not on the jury. How do you handle the stress and anxiety of watching these trials? Like Sarah Boone, it's a lot. So that's where I watch K dramas, and so I'm not really watching Karen Reed's trial. Find my joy. So, and I like watching it with you all. So if I had to watch this on my own, that would be very painful. It's actually less painful watching it with you all and giving commentary. So any case I cover, I try to teach something. Like there's a reason for us doing it. And so that's why I like talking about these things. Yes, Lori and Chad, they chose one another, but remember they had this special mission. They had been married, I think, in a past life. Like their relationship is very kooky, very, very strange and odd. All right. And on another stream, I did talk about, as you watch true crime, to be mindful that it's not getting into your dreams, that it's not, digging deep into all those things. I did not listen. Stephen Stearns, that is the case of Maddie Soto. I did not listen to all of his phone like his phone call with his parents. I just can't. I've stopped listening to the Wade Wilson phone calls. I was all the way. I heard him and Jesse broke up. Like I was all the way on the phone calls. I haven't listened to one of those probably in a month or two, maybe longer. Um, but yeah, all right. Um, I don't know if Lori will be able to introduce mitigating factors. I don't know if she will be able to, because sometimes with sentencing there can be mitigating factors that are introduced. Hola, Dr. Barry. Could she have claimed insanity due to the hyperreligiosity? But she'd have to admit that she was wrong. Then she'd have to admit to the conspiracy. And it was easier to just say, I didn't do a conspiracy, than to get a psychologist to say that she meets the criteria for insanity. And also, she lied. So normally when somebody is insane and they don't understand right from wrong, because remember, insanity isn't just that you have psychosis or you have delusions. It's also that you're so disconnected from reality that you don't understand that what you're doing is wrong. She clearly knew that what she was doing was wrong, or you don't lie, you know, stage the scene. You don't do all those things. They often call that consciousness of guilt. All right. So we are waiting on the verdict. Let me know if y'all have questions. Yeah, I'm not really gonna watch the Karen Reed trial again. I'm not. We're not gonna go. I think because they have the court feed up, so we're just gonna have the court over in the corner. I'll make it a little smaller. There we go. I'll make it a little bit smaller. Um uh I did watch Karen Reed's first trial. Trooper Proctor is not testifying in this one. I thought some of his testimony kind of, I don't know if the defense could, I don't know if the judge has said he can't come in at all, because some of his bad behavior, I wonder how much that played into the jury's uh thing. Okay, let me go to Netflix, because K drama. I do watch Chinese dramas too. Um, what is my favorite K drama? Let me go to Netflix. So I do watch the ones with subtitles, and I do watch some of the ones that are dubbed as well, because I have went way down. Um, I haven't started Hospital Playlist yet, because it is, what's the word? Um, they're still releasing new episodes, and I don't like waiting. I like to binge watch. So, Crash Landing on You, it's emotional. Crash Landing on You is emotional. I really like that one. King the Land. I think that's what it's called. I like that one. Um, yeah, Crash Landing on You was one of my favorites. Um, all right. Let me see. Let me see. Do do do. Yes, there is a verdict, and we are waiting. The verdict is in, and should maybe in the next 20 minutes or so, we should be good. They should have the verdict. They should be reading the verdict. They're probably right now. They might be. I don't know. I don't know what's happening right now, but um, they should be reading the verdict in about 20 minutes or so. Let me know if y'all have questions in the chat. Hmm. Oh, so you think the defense is gonna call Trooper Proctor? I thought his testimony in the Karen Reed case proved that, like, kind of helped the defense with the conspiracy stuff, and that they were just against her. There's some weird stuff with, like, why other people weren't investigated at the house. That whole case is just, oh, it's a lot. It's a lot. I just can't subject, and I'm not a huge fan of the judge. So I'm sure she's a fine person. I have not enjoyed her rulings on this case. Um, and uh it's just my thoughts. Yes, tart with the heart. You've never been here for a live verdict. I think it's gonna be guilty as well, but we will see. Nate Eaton posted the jury will be read 3:30 to 4 o'clock Arizona time. Let's hope it's closer to 3:30 because that's 6:30 my time. We just need it before like 7 because I do have to go feed my kiddo at 7 p.m. So Crash Landing on You. Um, uh, so it was good. I haven't tried Legend of I haven't watched that one. I will I will have to check that one out. Um, there are a few sad things on Crash Landing on You, but um, it was sweet overall. All right. Okay. So hopefully 6:30. We'll see if it's closer to 6:30 p.m. We'll see. Ah, all right. Hello from to people in Wyoming. Have you ever testified professionally in a trial given your credentials? So I have testified in family court with custody issues and also related to child welfare. If I've completed psychological evaluations of either a parent or a child involved with social services, and sometimes I've been called in to testify. I used to do intensive home-based therapy, and I used to supervise visits. And so sometimes, if the state was looking to terminate parental rights, I would sometimes be called in to testify about my observations, my things that the child had maybe told me. Because in those cases, the children they were under the age of 12, and they were never brought in to testify in those cases. But I would talk with the children. Um, if the state was looking to terminate parental rights and work towards adoption. So those are the types of cases. I have not testified in a criminal case outside of like a criminal, like a child harm case. Um, um, yes, in Virginia, those are handled in family court. And so I've testified in Fredericksburg, Stafford, Spotsylvania, so city of Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, Caroline County. Because I have to say the cities that I've been entered as an expert witness, also Virginia Beach. I think those are all of them. All the ones that I've been entered as an expert witness. In child and adult psychology, clinical psychology, those are the different, because they say, have you ever been entered as an expert witness? For me, I would say clinical psychology and then child and adult psychology. Yep, yep, yep. I do not do parenting capacities. There are evaluations that observe the child, observe the parent, do intense assessment of the parent to determine whether the parent has the capacity to parent. Uh, I I do not do those. Um, I thought about doing forensic. I have done psychologicals of children and teens in juvenile justice, so in custody. So I've went into the detention center and completed psychological evaluations in the detention center, and I've also had people court involved where I've done the psychological. Um, we were never looking at anything like, we were never looking at, like, competence to stand trial, 'cause those are forensic assessments. So I'm a clinical psychologist. The biggest difference is, so my goal with a psychological evaluation is for treatment and, diagnosis. That's my focus. Normally, a forensic assessment is answering some question of the court. So, I no longer do forensic, or no, I no longer do court ordered evaluations. My private practice stays fully booked. I'm currently scheduling psych evals 2 to 3 months out, and so I prefer to do where people are coming to services because they want it versus the court has told them they have to. I get paid more because insurance doesn't pay for court ordered evaluations. So I get paid more for court ordered. It just ends up being a lot. I do get paid to attend court. So if there is a custody issue, and if I am and the parent notifies me, we're going to subpoena you, I let them know this is my rate, because unfortunately, when I have to go to court, I have to close down my practice for at least half the day, possibly all day, depending on what type of trial it is. When I go to court, I always ask if I can go like closer to the front because I, because I would like to go back to work and be able to do, even if I am there, billing and getting paid. Um, I would rather not be at court. How do you compartmentalize the evil some parents do to their kids? Ooh. So I don't look at it. So evil is a judgment, and so I look at the facts of a case. So I have worked with families towards reunification, where the state has determined that a parent is safe and they are going to work towards having their child again. So I've done reunification therapy, where a child is transitioning from foster care back into their birth family or back home, and their adoptive whoever the family they were removed from, and my goal is establishing safety now. And if we can establish safety now, we can move forward. If there's not safety, then I'm not going to recommend that the child go back, and like I'm going to raise concerns if there are issues. Um, so I have worked with people, and I do. So I work with trauma survivors that, and I'm going to stop talking whenever this goes up. So I do work with trauma survivors that, um, my heart breaks for their experience. I will stop doing this work if I can ever hear somebody's story and it not touch me. So I am touched. It just doesn't. I'm not moved to the point of like I can't go on with my day. Um, I have worked with some very, very difficult cases, including some, okay, trigger warning for, including some trafficking cases, some very, very severe cases. including severe dissociation as well. Um, and then question, what do you think would happen if you walked into a jail facility and your client winds up being a psych nerd? So so not a jail. So remember, I don't go into the jails anymore, but I do have outpatient clients. So I have therapy clients. I and they end up, so there are people that have, so I do have some people that watch my YouTube and my TikTok. So I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I don't post that much over on TikTok or Instagram, but I have a whole bunch of content for years from 2020 to like 2024. I posted a whole bunch. So I have a whole bunch of content over there. YouTube is more fun for me, so I hang out here a little bit more. So clients can follow me. They just can't like say that they're my client. So I don't mind. It's fine. Um Yes, we're gonna watch the verdict. We're gonna watch it together when it comes in. Thank you to Court TV. I have a link to the full stream down in the description. Hopefully nothing happens to this feed. So if you hear, because the audio is on for for the court, because I've heard a few things. Um, all right. All right. And it's my goal that to help families, because sometimes the families that where there's been harm, sometimes there's a deeper story. So I'm big on breaking generational trauma, but the parent has to get help. So I've worked with parents that have lost custody of their child or children, and we've worked on the trauma and like what went wrong. We've worked on getting employment. We've worked on whatever those stressors that impacted that. Now working with me, I can't guarantee that they're gonna get their child back, because some people, they're not able to stay sober, or, like, they're not able to comply with DSS's recommendations, and they do end up, losing custody. But yeah. And you can't be my patient. We're YouTube best friends. That's hilarious. Um, so let me see. Given thought given thought about what you'll do after patient therapy is no longer viable. Oh, so what will I do once I'm no longer able to do outpatient therapy? So the cool thing about being a therapist, so I think I can do this. So I'm 42 right now. I think I could do this for another, like 30 years. Like, I think I could do this for a while. So at some point, I may retire, but, maybe I'll keep creating content, or I don't know. Um, hopefully, I'll have enough money to not work, to travel. So, as I get older, I might take less intense clients, or the clients I take that they're okay if I travel for, certain times of the year. But, I think because therapy, I'm just sitting in a chair talking to people. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. So maybe 13. We'll see. We're getting there. We're getting to verdict time. Retirement streams from the beach. Exactly. So, but I'm only 42. So I plan at least into my 60s. So y'all know my mom comes on my stream sometimes, and she's retired, but she calls herself retired to purpose. So um she still talks with, like, she does my accounting. I do have a book. Let me make myself smaller. It's Turning Crisis into Clarity: How to Survive or Thrive in the Midst of Uncertainty. So that's I have a book. I need to work on the second one. I'm supposed to write a parenting book, and I haven't finished it yet. Ah, so, your therapist is 77. So, okay, so this is a hard thing. What happens, if your therapist passes? Because that can happen. And as a therapist, so I have people. God forbid if something happens to me, I have people that would reach out to my clients and would take over my caseload, but that's hard. So I have worked with clients that have that. Normally, what's more common is that a therapist moves or like stops taking insurance or something like that. But sometimes that does happen. But yeah. Ooh. I was pretty good at making up stories. So write a true crime novel. See, but I wouldn't wanna write, like, a perfect I don't know, like, so we'll see. I do want to get into media, so, to be able to consult with TV shows about psychology. I hate it when TV shows get psychology wrong, like, that makes me so mad. There is a show there was a recent show that had a black male go into a black male therapist. The only reason why because it was like he specifically wanted to see a therapist that looked like him. Um, I forget the name of the show, but the therapist did a really good job. They did a really good job writing that role. I can't remember the name of the show. This Is Us. So they did a really good job on This Is Us too. It was a more recent show. There was another show, and I adore, Sterling Brown and, like, all so This Is Us, I watched that consistently. I would bawl. I cried so hard so many times watching This Is Us. Sometimes if you're feeling upset, sometimes getting a good cry can be helpful. Um, let me see. Hmm, because it was just on in a TV show. Survival of the Thickest. It was survival of it's a very so survival of the thickest, it's some language, there's, like it's I think it's braided mature, but there was a really good scene on that. Um, I think this is gonna be a tough watch, so I have to prepare myself emotionally for the Netflix show at Adolescence. I have to prepare myself for it. This Saturday, we have some family activities. My son, we have 2 birthday parties. 2. Uh, and so, I will not be streaming on this weekend, but, and I need to plan my next, members only. Thank you to all the members, and I will put something out as a members only post. Maybe next Tuesday, we might do a members only earlier in the day. Members only live, and then do my regular stream later. So maybe after the members only, but we'll see. All right. I used to love The Mentalist too. I love that show. I love the show Psych, even though they didn't get the psychology stuff right, perfect all the time. Criminal Minds. I used to watch Criminal Minds. Yeah. I like TV. I also like Will Trent. Yes. I love Will Trent. Uh, yes. So I used to watch House. He was very narcissistic. Oh, a new one where I'm watching Watson now. Watson, that's been a pretty good show. that has it's not crime, this is but, like, it's crime adjacent. Um, yes. Yes, I love Watson. It so many ups and downs. Um, it has a lot of medical stuff, so if people have, like, medical things to stay away from, we're still waiting. So, the verdict is in, we're waiting for court to start. Maybe in the next 5 to 10 minutes, we will see. And I'm gonna put a timestamp. Ooh. Mm. And in Watson, I think it might open with Morris Chestnut, like, without shirtless. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. He's probably contractually has to take off his shirt a certain number of times. And okay. Just in case my husband watches the stream, I won't talk about the plot too much. Um, yeah, Loved House. Mm. Watson. Watson? Mm. And now the song, that's my type, is stuck in my head. I don't know why. We have too much fun here. Ah. Ah. Let me see. Mhm. And then because sometimes we get handsome judges, and sometimes we get, like, handsome I have 2 dimples. I have 2. My son has 2 as well. Um, we, um and y'all made me lose my train of thought. I'm thinking about the plot. Oh, Monk. Yes, I used to watch Monk too. Yeah, the judges. There have been some handsome judges sometimes. Um, and Judge Duro is very pretty. Her hair, her hair, and then the one judge, yeah, sometimes we've had judges with some amazing hair. Hey, mama. I think you have 1 dimple. I got 2. Um, I wonder what made me lose my train of thought. I don't know. The plot. I was remembering that episode. Okay. Let's try to poll. Let me do a poll on what you all think. Do, do, do. Y'all give me a moment. Poll. So let's say let us know what you all think the jury came to. I loved Big Bang Theory, and I also watched, Young Sheldon as well. I tried to watch the other spinoff, the Georgie and Maddie's First Marriage or something. I couldn't I stopped watching that one. Let me add the link because sometimes on iPhones, you need the direct link. So, let's see. Yeah, there we go. There's the link. I don't know what totally erased my memory. I can't remember. Uh, so I love TV, y'all. So I watch a lot of TV. We also watch Amazing Race. Um, young Sheldon was cute. towards the end, they started focusing on some of the other people more. Um, because we talked about Psych. I'm trying to think of some of my other favorite shows. Hmm. Oh, Living Single, going way back. Because remember, I'm 42. Okay, so Living Single. I think they're gonna do a Different World remake. I'm gonna watch that. I did watch Topanga and Corey. What was that show? Y'all know Topanga and Corey. They did a remake of it. What was the show? Y'all probably already put it in the chat. Boy Meets World. Yes. Welcome, welcome. I used to love that. I used to watch Full House. Um uh Trying to think of what other shows. Put your favorite TV show in the chat and we'll see if I've seen it. I do not do scary shows. So Walking Dead, I can't do the noise the zombies make. Like my husband would watch that show and I would have to go to the other side of the house. Like I can't take the sound the zombies make. It's a great show, but I can't take that. Friends, I did watch Friends. If you've never seen Living Single, so Friends was like it was a spin-off. Yeah, it was pretty much Living Single. Everybody Hates Chris. I love that one. Um, Boston Legal. I watched that one too. Buffy. So my mom didn't like vampires. I think mom is still in the chat. She didn't like vampires and witches. I did sneak to watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but I was not supposed to. Okay. Okay. So the judge said, according to somebody in the courtroom, if the verdict is guilty, the aggravating phase will begin immediately. So I can stream until about 7 p.m. I watched a little bit of Doctor Who, not a ton. So I watched a little bit of Doctor Who, not a ton. Um, Everybody Hates Chris theme song is stuck in my head right now. Nashay, that's correct. Hey, mama. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Lie to me. I think I saw where they were trying to tell if people lied to them. So Martin, if I go back and watch it now, he seems a little toxic. Like it's funny because it's a joke, it's comedy, but because of my like therapy brain, I can't get over how obnoxious he is sometimes. So I watched it when I was younger. I can't. I can't go back and watch it now. I did watch Two Broke Girls too. Christina, are you offering to share your DoorDash? Yay, Marcia, we're yes. So scary stuff gets stuck in my brain. So I can get this stuff like this stuff doesn't stick to me. I can't I can't do scary stuff. I did watch The Practice and Boston Legal. Yes, yes. Yeah. Hmm. We're just waiting. The replay crew will have a timestamp. We can jump ahead. White Collar, I watched that one too. Yeah, so Rich Auntie, yeah. So Dexter gets a little too I didn't get into Dexter. I did love Ally McBeal. Abbott Elementary, I love this show. If you have not watched, this is a current show. I think they're on season maybe 3. I think it's 3. Abbott Elementary is a great show. Great, great show. I did watch Family Matters and, yes, yes. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So I was a latchkey kid. So my mom, she would work a lot. And by the time I was about 12, I could be home by myself and I watched a lot of TV. White Collar. Yes. And yes. So I remember when the TV went off. and there was no more, and Share Bear, sorry, Nightbot doesn't like more than 3 emojis. Okay. So you're good. You're good. You're good, Night Bear. It's just Nightbot and emojis. Ah, you watch Survivor. I have watched a few seasons of Survivor. Y'all know I love The Circle. I love, love, love watching The Circle. And I also watch um Love is Blind. They lost me at season 7. Okay, let's go. Make myself small. Oh, no? Okay, maybe not. Psych. Okay. So this should, I'll click refresh, but yeah. So they went to the courtroom and then they went back up. So we'll see. Yes, The Circle. So if you haven't seen The Circle, that's a show on Netflix, and it's pretty much a social experiment where people they are a profile and they try to win the game. And some people are catfishes, some people are really themselves, and some people play the game, and you try to see who wins. I love, love The Circle.
The parties are present.
Let's
The
go.
jury's not present. We were informed about 45 minutes ago that the jury has reached a verdict. In the event that the verdict is not guilty, this trial will conclude. In the event that there's a guilty verdict, we need to move on to an aggravation phase immediately after the reading of that verdict. I've given the parties proposed aggravating circumstances, instructions, and proposed verdict form. The state and the defense both have a chance to review those.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are there any additions or corrections from the state?
No, Your Honor.
How about from the defense? The defense did email my staff requesting an additional.
What's Court TV doing? Okay, we might have to drop this feed. Okay. Aw, they normally do such a great job. Okay, so we might have to find another one. We might have to find another one. Okay. So just
Find that
right
if it's a guilty verdict, whether or not it's a dangerous offense. Until it's found as a dangerous offense, that sentence that you're talking about wouldn't be triggered. So I think we need to have an aggravation phase regardless. So would you plan on presenting any testimony or evidence in the aggravation phase if there is an aggravation phase?
No, but could I just stipulate to it or not? That's my question.
stipulate?
You can stipulate.
Does she understand what that? Because stipulate what? What do you mean? Because that should be her chance to present mitigating evidence of why she shouldn't get whatever the maximum is.
To aggravation, and you could stipulate to whether or not it's a dangerous offense, but I think you should probably wait until we read the verdict to do that. So I guess it will, depending on what the verdict is, we may take another break. If there is an aggravation phase, are your witnesses here yet?
No, they are not here yet, Your Honor. The next of kin are, from my understanding, about 5 minutes out.
All right, we'll wait a few more minutes before we take that verdict. Please let me know when we're ready to come out.
Yes, thank you.
Anna said she's 5 minutes away, but she's
Okay, they cut that mic. So the legal definition of stipulate, let's go, generally means to agree on something as a condition or requirement. But I don't think she's using that correctly. Like, y'all can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. If she stipulates to the fact that it was like, she should be presenting mitigating evidence of why she shouldn't get the biggest, like, a harsher sentence. Like, it sounds like she's confused. Yeah. Like, because the state is trying to say that she should get more time because it was a violent offense. So she would not stipulate if she can. So Lori, I mean, you can stipulate to it, but normally you would present some mitigating evidence. Yeah, maybe she used the wrong, but I don't think she understands what's happening. Because I don't know that if she's planned for if she's guilty. Because I think in her mind, she's thinking no jury could ever convict her. There wasn't enough evidence. It wasn't a crime. It was a family tragedy. Ma'am, you now need to think about, well, what if the jury did find a guilty verdict? So we will see. I saw somebody say that White Lotus was their favorite show. Yeah. And honestly, the verdict really isn't going to matter because she's already serving 3 life sentences. And I don't know that because I think Idaho is paying for her incarceration. And if she's found guilty here too, I don't know that they would ever transfer her over. But if she appeals and things, she would still have to come back to Arizona for if there was any court hearings or anything like that, if she's found guilty. But we'll see. Yeah. All right. So let's see what happens. We have a verdict. Oh, so maybe she doesn't want the people to get up and testify. Okay. Tenacious teacher. That's a good point. That if she just says, yes, it was, then the victims wouldn't get up and give their statements. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't believe so. And 41.9, I think that's anxiety, NOS. Let me see. Yep, anxiety. I know and sometimes you can't bill that code. So I normally do not bill 41.9 because a lot of insurance companies won't pay for it. $41.9. Avatar Last Airbender. Let's talk about cartoons. So yes, we enjoyed that. We did not enjoy the remake. So they did a remake with live action, or like they instead of the cartoon, they did it with humans. The fight scenes were great. The effects were great, but the acting and the script, ooh, was not great. Oh, Craig of the Creek and Recess. So I used to watch Recess. Smurfs. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, so somebody said that the judge said the judge is doing an interview on law and crime. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. So Lisa, if you just be prepared to like laugh and make fun of it if you watch it. And if you're a true Avatar fan, you're gonna get mad because they get some things wrong. Some things because my husband loves, like, he's the one that got me into Avatar, and it was bad. It was, yeah, the judge is on the bench. Yeah, I can't imagine. Maybe he's agreed to do an interview. I don't know what people are talking about. Okay, somebody said it's a different judge that's doing the interview with Law and Crime. I saw a former judge do an interview with East Idaho News. That was really good. And the prosecutor from maybe that was a different channel. I know the prosecutor from Idaho did an interview with East Idaho News. And it's really cool. So this judge used to be a defense attorney, and I think he's done a great job with this case. I think Lori could have objected places that she didn't, because the state asked a lot of leading questions. It helped the state move through because they were just like, "Hey, this is right, right?" Like they just yes or no, and they would pretty much the state asked a lot of leading questions, but Lori didn't really object, and they didn't do it in a way that might cause problems on appeal, from what I saw. But Lori could have objected to see like what the witnesses would actually say, because the state fed the witnesses a lot of a lot of information. I think they would have said it anyway, but yeah. X-Men was one of your favorite. She-Ra. I used to watch She-Ra. Gem. Okay. Anybody in the chat watch Gem? Like, oh, I used to love Gem. Yeah. Nashay, I don't blame you. It was a really bad remake. It was really bad. Reading Rainbow. Yes. Gem was amazing. Yes. I'm a Tigger. That should have been the first hint of the ADHD. So I do pounce, and Tigger is my absolute favorite. So Animaniacs. I loved Animaniacs, and I also loved Schoolhouse Rock. Schoolhouse Rock was how I passed my preamble of the Constitution. Yes, we are doing so the verdict is in. We're waiting for the family to get there. The judge said it would take about 5 minutes. So we are waiting for the family. The jury has not been brought back yet. They're because if Lori is found guilty, they're going to proceed with um, the next phase where testimony can come in. Yes, I learned so much on Schoolhouse Rocks. I also used to love Magic School Bus, and my son watched some of the remake. Gem is in. Okay, I am about to add Gem to my Netflix. What? Oh, please. Wait a minute. Is it still there? Don't tell me they removed it. They can't remove it. I don't see it. I'll have to search for it later. And now this feed just dropped. What is going on today? Okay, let's see if there's another one. So far, with the poll, we have 96 guilty, 1% not guilty, 2% hung, and that is with 135 votes. Oh, I'm trying to see if there's a better feed. Uh, let's try East Idaho News. Okay, so KB7. That's Verdict Watch, Verdict Time. Okay, so I'll pull Court TV back up. Yeah, because this one's out. So let's go back to Court TV and let's see if we can find another East Idaho News. I talk out loud sometimes. Y'all stick with me. And I also have East Idaho News pulled up just in case. Ooh. All right. Boondocks. I loved Boondocks. And so Lori did a decent job trying to defend herself. Once again, I'll say it over and over. I think she did better than Sarah Boone would have done. It is 6:48 my time, and I have until about 7:10 until my kiddo comes up and starts saying I'm hungry. And he has school tomorrow, so I do have to get off at a certain point. I really appreciated East Idaho News's coverage. I was on for a segment where they talked about comparing Ruby Frankie and I think Lori Vallow. So I was on a clip of that news segment. So was Natalie Lawyer Chick. They were looking for a psychologist, and Natalie recommended me. And so, like, all the hearts and loves out to Natalie. That was super sweet of her. And uh, I was able to be interviewed and was on a segment out there. It was pretty cool. Um, Ozark. I think I did watch Ozark. Oh, okay. Oh, so Stephen Stearns has a hearing tomorrow. MASH. I used to love MASH. So if Grizzly True Crime is likely going to cover Stephen Stearns updates. So I normally watch over there. Wow, I didn't realize Nate was the one that tracked them down in Hawaii. Yeah, so good. Yeah, so Grizzly True Crime is awesome. So if you go to my page at on the main Dr. Barry YouTube page, I have some recommended channels. All my favorite channels are listed down there. Some of my favorites. Yep. All right. Same. Same. And I will let y'all know if I collaborate with Paul from Reporting Live from My Sofa or with any other creators. I will definitely keep y'all updated with any collaborations. Oh, so Lisa, I was featured on, it was East Idaho News, I believe. It was a segment about Ruby Frankie. I think, did I share it on my, let me see if I shared it. Because I think Natalie posted a clip and then I think I reposted her clip. Yes. So we can watch that real quick because we have nothing else to do. We're just sitting here. Nope. Okay. So I'm gonna come back to I'm gonna come back to this, but share this tab. So I searched this. Oh gosh, I think they might be coming back. Never mind.
All right, back on the record, State of Arizona versus Lori Daybell, CR 2021-001-704.
Put
The
it.
parties are present. I'm going to have my staff go ahead and line up the jury to wait in the hallway for a minute.
Okay. So we're on a 5-minute delay with the verdict. No spoilers, please. Here's a link to the short video. That's the clip from the East Idaho News, or is KUTV News? I don't know. So that's KUTV News. KUTV. Y'all know I don't remember names, so I didn't know what I did. I got an email, I showed up. Okay, so let me check their feed. Yep. Okay, let's switch.
I'll ask the clerk to read and record the verdict.
In the Superior Court of the State of Arizona in and for the County of Maricopa, State of Arizona versus Lori Daybell, CR 2021-001704-001, verdict count 1. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn in the above entitled action, upon our oaths, do find the defendant, Lori Daybell, as to the crime of count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder occurring on or about July 11, 2019, guilty. Signed, foreperson. Is this your true verdict? So say you one and all.
Yes.
On the court's own motion, I'll go ahead and ask the clerk to poll the jury.
Juror number 1, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 2, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 6, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 7, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 8, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 9, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 10, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 11, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 12, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 13, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 15, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 16, is this your true verdict?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to ask the jury to retire to the jury room for just about 2 minutes. I need to discuss something with the parties before we determine whether you're done or not. So the admonition still applies. Please go to the jury room for a few minutes.
All right, for the jury.
She's ruined green chili chicken enchiladas for me.
All right, please be seated. The jury is no longer present. I'll ask the defendant, you indicated earlier perhaps a willingness to stipulate to aggravating factors. Is that something you want to do, or do we want to go through this aggravation phase?
I'm willing to stipulate to it, Your Honor. All that it is the dangerous phase. Is that correct? There's only one statute there's only one sentence.
Well, the jury would need to find, first of all, whether or not this is a dangerous offense first. Secondly, whether the offense caused physical, emotional, or financial harm to the victim, or if the victim died as a result of the conduct of the defendant caused emotional or financial harm to the victim's immediate family. And then thirdly, the offense involved the presence of an accomplice. If you're willing to stipulate to all three of those, we can do that. If not, we'll bring the jury back in.
I will stipulate to it, Your Honor.
All right.
Okay.
You understand that if you stipulate to this instead of a jury finding, well, let me back up. You understand the jury would have to find these aggravating factors beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
All right. And do you understand that if you stipulate to these factors instead of a jury doing it, I could also find additional aggravating factors at sentencing?
Sure.
Has anyone forced you or threatened you in any way to get you to stipulate to these factors?
No.
Has anyone promised you anything to get you to stipulate to these factors?
No.
Have you had any drugs, alcohol, or medication in the last 24 hours?
No.
Do you agree that pursuant to the jury's verdict of guilt, that this would be a dangerous offense because a deadly weapon or dangerous instrument was used?
Yes.
I'm stipulating to it.
You agree that that's that this is a dangerous offense?
Correct.
And you're further stipulating that as a result of your conduct, at least the victim or the victim's family suffered emotional or financial harm?
Absolutely.
And you're also further agreeing that the offense involved.
Oh, so when she said absolutely, I personally feel she's including herself. Okay. So what she's doing, stipulating, she is agreeing. So a jury has to find that number one was a dangerous weapon used, and the jury has to say yes or no. They also have to find, did the family suffer financial harm? And then I think there might be a third one. So the state would present evidence to prove this, and then the jury would go back and the jury would say yes, or would say yes, there are these factors, or no. And based on what they say, because it sounds like the judge also said I could find additional things. So the judge is aware of all the other trials and everything else. And also the judge saw how she handled this case and how she just said whatever she wanted. And so I think the judge is kind of like, let's do this process, but she wants to just she I guess she's ready to go back for dinner. I don't know, but she's saying, "Nope, I'm going to agree to it," which means the jury can go home. If she agrees to it, the jury goes home. All right? I'm going to go back to the feed.
The presence of an accomplice.
Alex.
Yes.
Is the state satisfied with the colloquy?
Yes, Your Honor, it appears it's knowing voluntary.
All right, the court does find that the stipulation to those three factors was knowingly, intelligently, voluntarily made. I will accept the defendant's stipulation. At this time, I'm going to bring in the jury and release them from the admonition. Before we do that, well, as my staff's lining up the jury, do you want to have a sentencing date within approximately 30 days, or do you want to wait until after the next trial to be sentenced on this matter?
What does the court prefer?
It doesn't matter to me. Maybe you want to talk to your attorneys or
Matter.
advisory council about that. We don't have to do it right now. You can do it in a few minutes.
All right. And so because somebody asked, because Lisa asked, why does she seem so giddy? So I think she does not want the victims to get up and say more, and for more information to be presented before the jury. I think this was a control move. And I do think the jury was going to find yes to all those three things because Alex is the one that did it, and there was a pew pew that was used, and um but I still think when she says yes, it caused the family financial harm. I think she's including herself. Yeah. So the family will get to speak at the sentencing phase. So no matter what, she can't stop that part. The family will get to speak because sometimes they speak twice, or sometimes if they speak at the penalty phase, they don't speak again at the like victim impact. Or it might be a different thing said at the victim impact versus the penalty phase. So
Please be seated. The jury is present again. Members of the jury, you are now released from the admonition. This concludes your jury service. I want to thank you for your jury service in this matter and your attention in this matter. The admonition is lifted, meaning you can talk to anyone about any aspect of this case that you want to at this point, but you also have the right to not talk to anyone about any aspect about this case. I just need to take care of a few more matters, but if you want to wait for me in the jury room, I'd like to thank you personally. And then you can be on your way. If you don't want to wait for me, that's fine as well. But you are released to go at this time. All right, thank you. Talk to your advisory councils briefly to discuss whether or not you want to proceed to sentencing or wait until after the next trial.
If we could just wait till after the next trial, Your Honor.
okay.
Okay. So I'll hold off on ordering a pre-sentence report until we resolve the next remaining case. I've already set the dates and we have a status conference in mid-May on that. So unless there's anything else from the state's perspective. From anything else from your perspective?
Nope.
All right, we'll be at recess on this matter.
So this question, I didn't really watch the trial, but I just wanted to know what the green chili chicken enchiladas was about. So Lori got so mad at her brother Adam that he did not remember her green chili chicken enchiladas. And Colby said that they were nasty. Like it was canned chicken and like they were nasty. But she called them her famous. I could be adding the word famous, but I feel like she said famous. Her famous that she always cooked at every family gathering because that he did not remember her green chili chicken enchiladas. So that was that. Um, I'm so glad that we got to cover this together. Thank you to the jury. It'll be interesting when the jury goes and they can look if they research where is Tylee, where is JJ, and they just type Lori's name into Google and then all of this other stuff comes up. It'll be interesting to see if they do that. Please also know that it's like your people miss work and like they leave their families and all that stuff to do jury duty. So some people when jury duty is done, some people are like, peace out. I don't and they just go on with their life. I'm super nosy. I would have wanted to find the answers like after. So I wouldn't do it during the trial, but after I would want to go back and some of any unanswered questions I'd want to see if they were answered. Um and so thank y'all again. I'm gonna go feed my kiddo. I hope y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all next Tuesday. Bye.